Hi, I'm Elizabeth Vick, guest host on Living 365 TV today. It's time to stop waiting and to start living 365.
Hi, I'm Dorothy Guerra, guest host on Living 365 TV today. It's time to stop waiting and start living 365.
Hi, I'm Priya, host of Living 365 TV. It's time to stop waiting and start living 365. Welcome to Living 365 TV. I'm your host, Priya. This show is designed to bring you real experts and real tools for real people like you who are ready to stop waiting and start living 365. And in January this year, I want to also encourage you to stop waiting and start giving 365, which is the topic of our show today. We're talking about giving back to the community. What does that mean? What does that look like? And how can you get involved? Joining me today, I have two fabulous, beautiful women. First of all, we have Elizabeth Vick, intuitive founder of CE Love and intuitive designer of CE Love Pillows. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much
Oh
for
boy,
having
this is going to be a fun show. I can tell you already. And we have Dorothy Guerra, business growth strategist, networking event host, author, yoga specialist, and the radio host of Let's Get Loud. I love that song. Let's Get Loud.
That was sort of
right?
my...
Was that your theme song?
Yeah. It's one of
Love
my
it. Welcome,
favorite songs.
Dorothy.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you both here. Now, giving back to the community, that's what we're talking about today. Through Living 365, we also have our charitable foundation that we're working on called Giving 365. And really focusing myself in my life about always trying to give something back. You know, there's a saying that says, leave people better than you found them. And what I wanted to talk to you two ladies about, because I know in the community and the circles that you work in, and I'm not just talking about financial donations, I'm talking about your spirits of who you two ladies are. I've had the opportunity to meet you in different circumstances, knowing that you're giving back to the community in different ways. So I wonder what inspired you to do that and what's led you to live your lives that way, either of you.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
I guess for me, it was my sister. My sister was 40 when she passed away of a massive heart attack, and the cushions are a representation of our initials intertwined that make the shape of the heart. And for when it came after her passing to make this cushion, I said, absolutely not. I am not interested in making any cushions at all because I felt there was already enough out there. So anything that comes from a higher vibration, they don't give up. They just keep going into your head and just keep repeating it because for them, time doesn't mean an issue. And when I finally said yes is when the crown chakra opened up and the size and the shape of the cushion came to be. And I'm like, okay, so I don't know what I'm doing. You're going to have to help me. And it led to me saying that because this was a gift that has been given to me, I wanted to give back. So with every cushion that I make, I actually give back to charities. And before my sister passed, I actually won the sewing machine. And I'm like, I called her and I said, I won a sewing machine. She's like, what are you going to do with it? I said, I have no idea.
Could you sew?
Oh, I could sew. I made my wedding dress, girl. I could sew. But I was like, and I sewed curtains. Okay, well, the wedding dress maybe wasn't the fanciest, but I kind of designed how it would look. And it was these big, I don't even know what you call them anymore.
Poofies?
The big poofs.
Yeah.
You know, like you look like you're like, oh no, it's what's on there. I go, okay. And that was just my arms, and then I had it where it pointed down into my hand, so I looked like
it was like the tip?
Yes.
Yeah, like the spider, like
yes,
Elvira.
Yes, I was like Elvira
That's
and
a
Arnold
combo.
together. Oh my gosh, can you?
Arnold Elvira bride.
Yeah. Did you wear black lipstick?
No, I don't even think I wore lipstick. I'm trying to think now. I don't know.
Well, whatever, you're still married, so it must be working for you.
Well, he has no choice anymore. Bless him right now. But I ended up doing these cushions, and through the yoga world, and I mean, I've met Dorothy here. Geez, how many years ago was that?
Probably 5.
Oh, I think it was my
Your very first
show
year.
at the yoga conference, and she was beside me, and I'm like, who is that girl right there? And we just connected, and that was my first time at an event, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I got to sell and help with charities. So for me, giving back was giving back to either heart and stroke. Actually, okay, this cushion sold. Let's get enough made of the financial support that I can buy a defibrillator. And I would buy defibrillators and put them out into the community.
That's right. Yes.
And then, but people would go, what do you want for this defibrillator? I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm giving you this. And they're like, what do you want in exchange? Because the world is not used to like, you give me something and I want something back. So I said, no, it's yours to have. Okay, what's the connection? So with that, I also felt that I didn't want to just focus on my sister. I wanted to actually help out other charities. So I did a lot with cancer, different like breast cancer or prostate or charities that might not get all the recognition. So like if you have like Cancer Society, the big one, well then there's like 3,000 of the little guys underneath here that they have their own little organization. So I help to support them as well too. But I also have helped outside of the Canada area, children of Nepal, Ramana's Garden, which is in India. It's what do you call it? It's where the children, orphans. So it's an orphanage, and they make their own food there. And this lady is amazing. And I've been really blessed with the people that have come through and seen the cushions that actually support it. So, I mean, you know, like when you do the yoga conference, you get all the yogis that come in there, the ones that's what they do is they travel around the world and do the yoga. I've had Gurmukh, she has 5. And I'm actually working with her. I've already done her cushion for her charity. Devi Pramal, she has 1. Sanam Kaur has 2. Rodney and his wife Colleen have 1.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot of giving, a lot of pillows.
I'm trying to think of who else.
Definitely.
But just my feeling is I just need to give it back because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
So I want to try to bring the vibration up on the world because right now that's what seems to be going on. You know, we're looking at, this is at the festival time, but you have all these events that have happened that are bringing people down. Like you open up the newspaper, all you read is about what's happened over in Europe or out in California or any other tragic event. People don't want to buy the newspaper anymore. People want to have something that's more positive. And that's what I'm trying to do, whether it's with my quirkiness or whether you buy a cushion. It doesn't matter to me, just as long as you support the cause. So
the reality of that too, though, is there is a lot of stuff in media where the world is in a negative place. But I have to remind myself every day that I live in a fabulous community with amazing people that are always willing to give and to help and to support each other. And you have to kind of get yourself out of what's in the media and put yourself into the moment and the now and where you are and realize there's more love and goodness than there is evil, really.
Yeah, and you definitely do that. I know through a lot of the network that you're in, especially in your community, that you're out and amongst a lot of people that are giving back to the community in a number of ways and in a number of facets. It's not necessarily like, I know you're with arts and things like that you have a lot of interest in giving back in that capacity. So what prompts you to be involved in such a large scheme?
It's not something that I sort of had a mastermind plan to do. When I was a young child, I was one of those little 8-year-olds on a Sunday watching that World Vision channel. Look at those children. You know, those Africa commercials where all the kids are bloated and the flies. And I was always drawn to that. And I could literally sit there and just obsess myself with crying over this stuff. So innately, I always had this passion to go to Africa. So couldn't go to Africa while I was young, so I would do things like Brothers and Sisters. You know, I think I was maybe 16 and I was participating in Brothers and Sisters. Later on, I moved on to March of Dimes when I was married, and so me and my husband would go, and we would spend 3 nights a week. He would have somebody that he would sit with, and I had somebody that I would sit with. And it was not that I was doing it because it was just something I wanted to do. It was just that feeling of knowing, just the joy. You know, that when you see a smile on somebody's face that you create, like there's nothing better than that. Like money can't replace that. The things that you own can't replace that. So as I got older and I got into the yoga business, that's the ultimate place of giving. You know, just giving in your classes, and it's not even the charitable aspect of what my yoga studio would do for the community, but bringing people into the classes that were hurting, difficult spaces in their lives, and you give them a little bit of yoga philosophy, and you know, somebody says to you a few months later, you really made a difference in my life. That's worth more than any yoga membership, possibly.
Yeah,
you know, if I could have a free yoga studio in the community, I would love to do that, right? So anyways, a few years ago, you know, I had this nagging feeling to go to Africa. And my older sister, I was at church one day, and my older sister's like, you know, why don't you just go? You know, you're old enough. You don't have, like, responsibilities. You're not married like that. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I woke up in the morning, and I booked a ticket to Kenya. I figured out which place in Africa I want to go to. And then I found this man online, put all my faith that he was going to pick me up in the airport. And I basically said, I want to go to Africa, and I want to go as remote as I possibly can. I want to be somewhere where there's the most need, no electricity, no water. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I go to Africa, and wow, it was life-changing. I go 12 hours on a bus, no roads, and I end up in this place. And it was amazing. At that time, I was doing my first year of my midwifery degree. So I was thinking of doing Doctors Without Borders as my retirement gig. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to do my clinical work in a medical village where there was nothing. So I raised the money. I found Every Mother Counts online, where they do these birth kits. Okay. And you take them to women who, they don't birth in hospitals, they birth at home. And so they're cutting umbilical cords with sticks, and they're birthing babies on the sand. And so there's
whatever's available.
So usually, you know, the stats are 1 in 5 women will die during childbirth in third world countries like that. And it was pretty much like that. So I was walking through the village, handing out these birth kits to pregnant women, teaching them how to use it. I was palpitating bellies, letting them know when their baby would be due so they could prepare for it, teaching them how to read a calendar so they could exit off every single day. But the ultimate thing was I stayed in a homestay where this family had 200 kids coming into their backyard every morning. They made a makeshift school out of mud, and these kids didn't have access to schooling. So they had volunteer people coming in to teach. And these kids were basically children in the village whose families have all died of HIV. So they were single orphans. So rather than adopting them out where there's nowhere to go, families within the village would take a child. And these kids would just come there every day. They were living off corn maze, you know. So it was like, I can't even put into words how life-changing it was. It makes me want to cry, but, you know, I would, you know, start writing on the internet to everybody back home. You have to see what this is like. You have to, you know, I can't even explain this to you. All of a sudden, people just started sending money, and I was able to start buying rice. And I started to buy shoes for these kids and uniforms for these kids so that they would come to this school. And with a child that lives in a third world country, you give them something that we take for granted, like a toothbrush or a piece of soap. That's all it takes to keep them educated. They want to brush their teeth in the morning and go see their friends. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, and I have a new pair of shoes. I want to go to school. And it's such a different, you know, it was amazing. So I did that, and then I went back the second year again, and then I went twice that year, and then I started a small little nonprofit where I was helping these kids financially, you know, a little bit a month. And then the third time I went, I started a chicken farm for them so that they're, you know, from that I realized, you know, there's a lot of things like this in my own backyard. And I just started to really pay attention to what was happening in the community. And, you know, that's how I started to get involved with fundraising and just bringing awareness to the different charities that we have in our community. And then just through my career and doing the radio show and doing the networking and meeting other people, linking people to each other to help each other's businesses is also a way of giving and raising people up. And I think at the end of the day, I get the most joy out of what do I bring to this earth that's going to just raise a human being up, ultimately. Absolutely. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And you're right. It is about having that awareness of what's around us, because it is very easy to see. And obviously there are many people in the world who are in need. But interestingly enough, even in my own community, we're not that far apart, but we are a little bit far apart, is recognizing, you know, there's still breakfast programs here in Ontario that are needed. There are kids in the morning that don't have breakfast. Right here in our own backyard.
Yeah.
You know,
the statistic in Mississauga alone is 54,000 people use the Mississauga Food Bank every month. 54,000 people.
Yeah. You know, and we look at that and to see, you know, to be walking around and we kind of, a lot of us look down with disdain at people who are on the street or asking for money. And I'm thinking, you know, my friends always say to me, well, don't give them money. And I'm thinking, why not? They need it. And I have it and I can. And if it's going to put a meal in their stomach or a cup of coffee to warm them up or whatever it might be, we are really in a place of time needing to change our attitudes about that and seeing people as our brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers. That could be your mother on the pavement, that could be your father on the pavement, or your sister or your brother or your son or your daughter, and they belong to somebody too. And to just really, you know, and it's not a Pollyanna type of, because we're in the spiritual community, you know, that kind of woo-woo, love, hug, and sing kumbaya attitude. People, we need to take care of other humans.
It's not even the misconception that these are low-income people, poverty, no education.
No, they're all different social.
These could be your own neighbor next door that lost his job and can't afford to
this
take
could
care
be me. Like it could be
at any
given time. It could be any one of us that with the wrong, you know, the things happen in life. Bad business decisions. Who knows what could happen to you financially? What could drain you, and where you could end up. And so I think it's really important for us to increase our awareness and our willingness to be of service. And that's what I'm really trying to promote in general, and more so here today, is to focus on being of service to other people. How can I be of service to someone? Even if you are a business owner, how can I be of service to this person? And yes, exchange in business is usually financial, but generally speaking, there's always an even exchange of energy when you give something. If I give it to you, in so much as you say thank you, we've exchanged.
Yep.
Right? So it's about really understanding that. But I do also find that a lot of people do struggle with receiving, which is the flip side of giving, is that people have a hard time receiving.
Me.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's really hard for me. I'm used to, you know, giving, and for me it's like, well, I don't want anything. You know,
but we're women too, so women are always used to giving. But it's like if somebody was to give you a thing of flowers, it's like, okay, what is this for? There's always something attached with it. But that's us. Our nature is to give. But I think one of the things that really resonates with me is the Gandhi phrase: "Be the change that you want to see in the world." So whatever, I mean, my gosh, like what you went through, like I can't even imagine that. I just do cushions.
She's like, no water and no lights, that's not for me.
Oh yeah, it was rough.
But you know, I guess the thing that I feel with that is the appreciation of you're over there. Like, and I've gone to India and I've walked down the streets, and you see like the cows that are eating the plastic bags, and I'm like, get over here, and I'm pulling it out of the mouth, and I'm trying to find they don't have garbage containers.
Yeah.
So here I am carrying
yeah.
this bag with me to try to get rid of it, and you see the children, you see the people that are you can see their ribs, and like all the dogs, but they don't do anything, like they just let them go free. So when you come back home, it's the awareness of, oh my gosh, I am so thankful for what I have. And that's what you've done. But then that's one stage, is to go, oh my gosh, like I'm so grateful, but then what do you do with it?
Yeah,
Do
and
you
that's the
actually-
thing. I don't think, and this is, when I came back from Africa, this is the one question that people say to me all the time. You must be so grateful for everything you have. And honestly, when I first come back, there's a little bit of a transition, right? My answer is absolutely not. I am not grateful for what I have. I feel very selfish for what I have. I feel like I don't even need to have any of this stuff. So to say that helping somebody is to bring awareness to and gratitude to your own stuff is just not the way I see the world. Yeah. I think it's an opportunity for you to see what you don't need.
Yeah, I can understand that, because I do. When I travel out to Bali, it's the same thing. And there's a time after I lead the retreat where I go into work in the villages and do healing. And I do, I'm there, the longest I've been there is about 5 weeks at a time. And I do recall, like, when I come home, being in my home thinking, this is nuts. Like, I don't need this house, and I don't need 2 closets full of clothes, and I don't need a shoe closet. Yes, I have a shoe closet. Sorry,
yeah.
forgive me.
And a beautiful house.
but it's almost a feeling of disdain when you come back, like thinking, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing with all this stuff? Because you get into a space of living without. I've visited my friends in Bali or wherever we were just talking about this earlier on the lunch, where it's a very, very small space, and you all sit together on a mat on the floor, and it's like a concrete or mud floor, and you eat, and that's that, and they're happy, and I was happy, and I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why do I need this and that and the other? And it really has led me to operate under another awareness. I think some of us have it because it defines us, and I think at some point in time you have it because you can.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So,
and there are people out there who aren't driven to go to foreign places or to help with charities or even to donate. And that's fine. The world is made up of different people for different reasons, right? The ones who give are here to educate to the ones that don't. And it's all we can do is educate, hence, the show, Giving Back, right? So the beauty of this is that us 3 sitting here have been given the tool to reach out to people and educate, not so much give because you have to, but give because there's so much joy in it.
And because you want to. That's the big thing too. And you feel that the love that comes from it. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that if there's somebody that that is not a giver, that down like a year, 2 years, or whatever time frame, that something might happen that can change their life around, and they will be 365 giving as well too. So I think it's the awareness of what we are doing, what other ones are doing that are giving back, and just letting people know, and then maybe those people will shift and change when that time comes. Right. But just giving them that option and not closing the door on it, but just keep doing what we're doing and try to build it, just like you do when you're networking, right? You meet some person, and it might not be what you want from that person, but they'll say, "Oh, I know somebody of somebody," and that happens to me a lot.
And that's a good point too. Taking it out of third world talk, but a lot of business books, if you read how to grow a business, especially when it comes to networking, a lot of people who know a lot of people like to keep their circle like this.
It's like they're hoarding it.
Yeah. if I introduce so-and-so to so-and-so, then
Then
that means I'm going to lose
cut out,
so-and-so,
yeah.
and I'm going to lose. You know what I mean? So
But this is where you have to have the faith, just like what you had
and
with
that's
the
a whole
the
other
person.
avenue of giving, helping
Well, it's
people
a
become
scarcity.
successful.
Yeah, it's a
right?
scarcity mentality, right? So
Yeah.
you either, I think, or I feel that we either gravitate to a scarcity mentality or an abundance mentality.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that think, there's not enough for everyone. I've got to take my piece because if I don't get it, then, somebody else might get it. I may not have enough. Or there's the abundance thinking, which is there's more than enough to go around. Like in business, I always feel that way. There's more than enough business to go around. I'm not fighting for clients or anything like that. You want to go with Dorothy, go with Dorothy. You want to go with Elizabeth, go with Elizabeth. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody else will come and want to be
There's
with
somebody
me.
in
So,
that place.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. And it's about, I'm encouraging people to open themselves up to an abundance mentality that there's more than enough for all of us. And that so give to the ones that don't necessarily have right now, because something else will come back to you. And I think at some point in time, whatever it is, your measurement system, whether it be money or donations or however it is, there comes a point in time where you have more than enough. You've got enough, and you can see the benefits of, if I give this out, it comes back to me in some other capacity of joy, so that you don't feel like you're left without, or that you're in an uneven energy of giving. There's always something that you're receiving back as a reward for it. And sometimes the reward of giving is the reward of seeing someone else's happiness and knowing that you contributed to that, because that makes us feel good inside.
Well, it raises your own level of happiness. It
Right.
raises your own energy.
Your own
right?
vibration.
Yeah. Because generally we don't do anything that doesn't give back to us in some way, whether it be negative or positive. Some of us engage in things that give back to us in a negative,
way.
self-serving way, which feeds what we need anyway. But generally speaking, when you do something for someone else, you benefit from that joy of seeing them, that you had the ability to be able to contribute in some capacity.
Yeah, and that's sort of when I do the networking aspect of my business, that brings me a lot of joy, because it's I may not be rising up in my career level, but the fact that I can connect a marketing person to a person starting a new business, or a person starting a new business to learning just how to use Facebook or something that makes them better. I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah.
It's another tool.
It's another tool.
Yes. And that also, you sort of touched on it before earlier, is sometimes people question giving. Why are you giving this to me, and what are you going to want in return?
She's going to come back and want
Yeah, they're going to want something. And I'll be honest, I was kind of like that too, because just my own upbringing, certain experiences that I've gone through in life that led me to question, like, what does this person want from me? Like, why are they, and that can come in any capacity. That can be in, you're beautiful women. I know you're currently single. Look how I got that in there.
I'm married.
Married, taken. But sometimes when a gentleman's advancing his, talking to you or approaching you, there may be a question as to, okay, where is he coming from? What's he looking for?
What's his intention?
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so in that capacity, that's another form of giving and receiving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you ever notice that you say you struggled a little bit with receiving, where that comes from, and how you would advise or encourage someone to be aware of that and move forward?
Well, for me, the whole idea of receiving is that it's not the way my mind works. I would rather, it's okay, for example, Christmas time. I hate the question, what do you want for Christmas?
Oh, I know.
I don't want anything. Well, your house is beautiful. I was making a joke about that, because my house has got nothing. I'm not creative. Well, do you want that? No, why? There's nothing that I need. There's nothing that I want. And I don't, even when I get a gift, it's like, oh, thank you. It's such a difficult thing. And I would prefer to say, no, thank you. Please don't buy me anything, because it's just another avenue of saying, giving in a way.
Yeah.
To not take is almost to give in my head. I don't know.
To not take is almost to give. Interesting.
Right.
And for me, I find that at the festive season, I would rather give or do something the rest of the year instead of just that one
too.
time, because it's like there's so much pressure on that. But I think it's society did that, and we've kind of fallen into that concept of
I actually think it's marketing that's done that.
I think we have to blame Hallmark.
Yeah. I mean, Hallmark has a holiday for everything. You name it. I bet you talk about 365. I bet there's holiday 365 out there where there's a day to celebrate everything, and there's probably a greeting card to go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if somebody finds it, please give it to Priya.
And holidays are a wonderful time to appreciate the people around you and to, take those times out to
That's what
slow
I do
down
better is
and,
that.
and recognize, what is in your life. But it's being mindful to doing that.
Yeah, you make a
Right?
good point. Even with the Christmas, or the festive season, is that what we're calling it? It's Christmas. I don't know what the right word is.
It's Christmas.
Well, we're in January, so I'm blowing the cover here. But it's okay. But my house is decorated. But I'll be honest with you, this year I struggled with wanting to put it up because I'm almost, not because of the holiday, but the anti-gift, like the gift buying. I'm anti-gift buying because it just seems so... what's the word? Imposed.
Yeah.
Like you must.
You
and
have to do
buy
this.
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
And I look at my kids. I have 4 children, and they don't ask for anything.
Yeah.
So I struggled last year trying to find them gifts because they didn't really want anything and they didn't need anything. We kind of do that throughout the year. And I think it just comes from back to 365. It's one of the reasons that I created this concept, a few years back, was let's do this every day. Let's be giving, not necessarily gifts, but let's be giving. Let's be loving. We have these couple of times a year, particularly I find like the Thanksgiving, Christmas, possibly even the family day. Those are the 2 days where you need to be with your family.
Yeah.
What happens the other
What's the rest of it?
363, right? Or where you spend time together and you want to go out and do something special, or it doesn't last.
And then
it's
you have the
focused on-
stress of Christmas
Yes.
coming, the stress of
Oh, you see
Thanksgiving
people when they come in for
Stress.
yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're stressed.
I need you to calm me down because
And,
I don't know what to get Johnny. And I'm like,
Yeah.
just breathe.
Yeah, it is.
And
really
the whole
stressful.
point just goes right out the window.
Yeah,
It's just-
I do feel that way, that it misses the mark on what this is really all about. And never mind from a religious connotation, despite the fact that maybe that's not your holiday to celebrate, but the theme around of celebrating together on that once a day and about the gift of giving from your heart and sharing love, I think it's just really, really lost these days. By the time... October 31st, you can see them yanking Halloween out of the store, and November 1.
But some you'll actually see Halloween
And
right beside Christmas.
Oh yeah. Or you turn on the news and you've got, so and so just got punched in the face in the Walmart line.
Yeah,
It's just,
I know.
It's crazy.
yeah.
It's
So
it's just-
we get it. It gets us into a place that I don't think. That is the very far extreme of what giving has come to. Because there's people that go into debt every year around the holiday times, and in January they're suffering. We just did a show on finance.
Yeah.
Because
highest
the
rate of
pressure
suicide
giving.
is
Yeah.
January.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they get their bills.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm really looking to do today, is to really shed light on what giving can look like. And yes, you are both doing things that are very tangible, but it's also, there's an element to what you're doing that is more so from the heart and heart-centered and daily.
And we need some pillows here.
To really just, express giving in a different capacity through your interactions, through information that you share, through connections that you may facilitate, that there are other ways of giving that we can incorporate into our lives on a daily basis, and encouraging people to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, from the business perspective, because your business, even though it is non-charitable, is that it? Non-charitable? Is that what you said?
Non-charitable.
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
charitable.
charitable.
Non-profitable. I was like, I knew that didn't sound right.
Can you see I'm still looking for my posse? Because I'm like, what?
We're starting a new business model here. It's
Yeah.
called non-charitable.
Yeah, we don't give.
Non-charitable organizations here at 365.
Give me back your heart.
Give me that pillow back here.
You can't have it.
I spent so much time giving, I'm not giving.
Exactly. We're Grinches. I'm sorry.
Compose. With the whole that model, the nonprofit model, and you also being in business, how do you share the concept of giving with others? Like, how do you inspire other business owners to do the same, or do you?
It's hard because your heart, especially for me, my heart wants to just give, like, here, just take everything. Like, you need a cushion, but you don't have the money? Here,
I
take
know.
it, right? But then one side of me says, if you have the money for it, you can also help another charity. But I just find that for me, whatever happens, like I'm pretty like out there, like I just
No.
not. I think my hair's a little bit too curly. But I just find that for me, I just kind of like whatever happens, I just like if there's a person that's coming by a business that they don't understand what I'm about, do you have a couple minutes? I'll explain it to you. Or if there's somebody that, like a child, that they meditate, Sandy Hook is a big one because after the killings is when I actually started to make the children's cushions, and I made them and put them out in the garage, and then I counted them, and it was actually the same amount of cushions as the amount of kids that were killed. So I'm like, okay, they're going down there. And then you hear from the school, oh my gosh, like it's a grade 3, 4 class that use them all the time. And it's like, that's all I needed. I didn't know. I didn't say, can you send me a check for? I was just like, thank you. That is going to help that child for their journey. Or you have like a family that they're driving down the road, a car hits them, they flip over, and the girls are like, oh, you got to focus on your breath. Mrs. Vick said, practice your breath like this. So they're trying to calm down the mother that was driving, and she was able to have less injuries in her body because of her breath. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you don't know the impact that you have. But I guess what I'm saying or feeling is just go with your heart. Listen with your heart, not this, because this really throws you like all over the place. It could drive you bonkers. But when you listen with your heart, it's good. And if businesses want to listen, if there's somebody down on the street that wants to listen, then do whatever your part is, and know that that's what you're supposed to be doing. It's not it's like you have to do this because this was given to you. No, your heart will tell you. And the same with you, like all the stuff that you do, it's just doing that and opening up doors for other people. And I think that's a big thing is we all do our little parts. There's all kinds of other organizations that do their little part, and they're sometimes they're wondering, is this really worth it? Am I getting the word out as to what I envision? And it's just having that faith in yourself and the universe, the connection, because you were given this purpose, you were given this mission for whatever reason, and just to do what it is you're supposed to do without having all the attachment.
If you have a final word for the viewers, what would it be? Giving.
That I think in order to really lift the vibration up in the community you're living, in the world that you are participating in the short life that you get to live on this earth, to really sit back and just take a look at what's around you and what you value, what you're going to take with you and what you're not going to take with you. And when you give and when you raise somebody else's energy and provide happiness, that ultimately is the energy that you do get to take with you. You don't take your bank account. You don't take your fancy things. You take your experiences. You take the love that you build, the love that you grow. You take the friendships that you create, and you basically are going to become that big ball of energy in the aftermath of your life being done. And you really got to sit down and value that and appreciate that and make an intention for yourself to live that way.
Definitely. Thank you. And Elizabeth, a final word for the viewers.
I think love. Love is one thing that you can grow on. It can never be defeated. And just to keep that love growing in your heart and share it with others. And yes, we do have a short lifespan. Like obviously we'd love to live till we're like 120, but we don't know what happens tomorrow. All we can do is live in this present moment. And what can you do at this moment? So for us at this moment is bringing the awareness of giving, whatever that is, to the viewers out there. And maybe through this conversation here, maybe somebody will say, I think I want to do this or this. or like maybe somebody will offer more. We don't know. All we know is we just need to get the messages across and just share our experiences, because if there's the three of us here, there's probably like 30,000 out
right.
there or more, but it's just getting that networking together of all these people. So it'd be interesting to see how many people in this community actually are givers.
And can I just make a point?
Please.
It is not to say that to have monetary success is not what we're entitled, like we should not be entitled to that.
No.
But the reality of it is any business book that you read or self-help book, the more you give, the more that will come back.
It comes back
Monetary
tenfold.
success comes from the energy that you put out into the people that you do business with. What you provide as a human being, people trust and pay you. And there's a fair give and take there.
There is.
But sometimes it's not about the financial. It could be, I'm, with you, and then you might network to somebody else that could get to the next plateau, the next
Exactly.
step for that person. So it's not necessarily the monetary, but that is a very valid point. But again, I would love to see how many actually we don't know about that actually do it just because. And I know when I was doing my yoga training that they would ask you to do something without anybody knowing what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I remember doing stuff and people would say, "Oh, who did that?" But you can't say
Yeah.
because that's not the point.
Exactly.
So you probably have people that are silent shoppers or Santas that go around and there's a family, like you said about families that don't get enough food, big basket full with the turkey and the stuffing and all the other stuff, or presents for the kids. Here you go, leave it on the door and go. That's their giving. They just don't want people to know
Right.
they've done it. But still, this here is big,
Big.
because they gave from here.
So where can we find you, and what's up and coming for January?
Oh my gosh, I have so many things in my head. I just can't get them out fast enough. I'm actually working on doodles that are cushions that you can actually color yourself to come back into more mindfulness. I just have so many of them. It's like, which one's first? So I have that. I've hired somebody else that is administrative person that is helping me with getting myself organized, because I'm very much out there, and I have I'm working on products. So what I'm working on is products that actually are going to create that sacred space for you, that you can find what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So whether it's candles or a cushion or a special yoga mat or a shawl or clothing, these are all ideas that I'm working on.
Yes.
But it's just kind of creating that space, because when you find something, like if there's something that connects with you, you have the thing with Gandhi. When you look at that, it's like, it gives you a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I want to do, is create this feeling so that people can start to come to their vibration, come to what they're supposed to be doing of their giving.
Mm-hmm.
So
And they can reach you on Facebook, yes?
they can reach me on Facebook. I have Instagram. I have Twitter, Pinterest. I'm not really good at Pinterest. And the website is www.celove.org, which is both of my sister and my initials intertwined. But yeah, they can reach me that way, or they can phone me. I'm pretty open to people, how they can connect with me.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being
Oh my
with us.
gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Dorothy.
You can find me at dorothyguerra.com or Rebirth Yoga Studio, Let's Get Loud Radio with connectmeradio.com. I'll have a bunch of events coming up this year as far as networking luncheons and dinners go. And I'm also planning a mission this spring to Africa for anybody that's willing to come out and volunteer.
Wow. Fantastic. Ladies, thank you so much for giving your time today, your energy, and being here. Really thank you for joining
Thank you. It
us.
was
Thank
awesome.
you. Give me some
Thank
sugar. Nice to see you again.
too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're asking you and encouraging you to put the giving in your living on a regular basis. A lot of times we look at different charities or different ways that we can give back, and we put it in our heads and we have great intentions, and maybe we go home and we put it aside, or we'll think we'll get to it tomorrow, or maybe even that it really won't make that big of a difference. Every little bit that you put back into the world, into your community, and into the universe really does make a difference. Everything that you do impacts someone in some capacity. So we're encouraging you to go out, and even if it's so much as a smile that you give to someone, you may never know how much that may impact someone's day. It might be the only smile that they get. As always, encouraging you to stop waiting and start living 365. I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Vick of CE Love. I love your product, Elizabeth, and I really wanted to share this with the viewers. Please tell them about what you're doing and how it all got started.
Well, thank you very much for coming and talking to me about this. The product is heart cushions, but it's actually my sister and my initials intertwined that make the shape, and they are made with sacred numerology. They help to support several different charities, and there's more charities that I'm willing to help out with. They just need to connect with me. So far, I've raised enough for 10 heart defibrillators, as well as several different cancer societies and charities, and the door is open for other charities to come forward and let me help them out. The one that's at the front here is for bereaved mothers, so the profits for that will go for bereaved mothers.
It's beautiful. It's actually what drew me here. Being an angel reader is what drew me here. But tell us how you are guided to come up with the designs for the pillows.
I hope I listen very well to the universe. Sometimes I don't, but when I don't, I get a kick in the pizzuto.
That's a great description. Now, it's a beautiful product. And how can people reach you?
They can go to the website at www.celove.org or contact me through email at celove@outlook.com. So it's CE Love.
Perfect. And please, can you do your famous hair flip for us?
I'd like to whip it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.